Eru, who in Arda is called Iluvata, made first the Ainur, and they sang before him. And going out into the void, he brought forth their music into being, and named it Ea, the world that is. And many among the most powerful of the Ainur descended into it, and Iluvata declared that henceforth their powers should be contained within the world, and so they are named the Vala, the powers of the world. The lords of the Vala are seven, and the queens of the Vala are seven also. The names of the lords in due order are Manwe, Ulmo, Arle, Orame, Mandos, Lorien, and Tulkas. The queens of the Vala are Varda, Yavanna, Nienna, Este, Vare, Vana, and Nessa. Melkor is counted no longer among the Vala. Manwe and Melkor were brethren in the thought of Iluvata, and mightiest of the Ainur was Melkor. But Manwe is dearest to Iluvata and understands most clearly his purposes. He was appointed to be lord of the realm of Arda, and ruler of all that dwell therein. In Arda his delight is in the winds and the clouds, and in all the regions of the air. Sulimo he is named, lord of the breath of Arda. All swift birds, strong of wing, he loves, and they come and go at his bidding. With Manwe dwells Varda, lady of the stars, who knows all the regions of Ea. Too great is her beauty to be declared in the words of men or of elves, for the light of Iluvata lives still in her face. In light is her power and her joy. Of all the great ones who dwell in this world, the elves hold Varda most in reverence and love. Elbereth they name her, and they call upon her name out of the shadows of Middle-earth, and uplift it in song at the rising of the stars. Ulmo is the lord of waters. He is alone. He dwells nowhere long, but moves as he will in all the deep waters about the earth or under the earth. He is next to might in Manwe. The trumpets of Manwe are loud, but Ulmo's voice is deep as the deeps of the ocean, which he only has seen. Ulmo loves both elves and men, and never abandoned them. But mostly Ulmo speaks to those who dwell in Middle-earth with voices that are heard only as the music of water. For all seas, lakes, rivers, fountains, and springs are in his government, so that the elves say that the spirit of Ulmo runs in all the veins of the world. Thus news comes to Ulmo, even in the depths, of all the needs and griefs of Arda, which otherwise would be hidden from Manwe. Arle has might little less than Ulmo. His lordship is over all the substances of which Arda is made. He is a smith and a master of all crafts, and he delights in works of skill, however small, as much as in the mighty building of old. His are the gems that lie deep in the earth, and the gold that is fair in the hand, no less than the walls of the mountains and the basins of the sea. The spouse of Arle is Yavanna, the giver of fruits. She is the lover of all things that grow in the earth, and all their countless forms she holds in her mind, from the trees like towers in forests long ago, to the moss upon stones, or the small and secret things in the mold. In reverence Yavanna is next to Varda, among the queens of the Vala. The Feanturi, masters of spirits, are brethren, and they are called most often Mandos and Lorien. Yet these are rightly the names of the places of their dwelling, and their true names are Nemo and Urmo. Nemo the elder dwells in Mandos, which is westward in Valinor. He is the keeper of the houses of the dead, and the summoner of the spirits of the slain. He forgets nothing, and knows all things that shall be, save only those that lie still in the freedom of Iluvata. He is the doomsman of the Vala. but he pronounces his dooms and his judgments only at the bidding of Manwë. Vare the weaver is his spouse, who weaves all things that have ever been in time into her storied webs, and the halls of Mandos that ever widen, as the ages pass, are clothed with them. Urmo the younger is the master of visions and dreams. In Lorien are his gardens in the land of the Valar, and they are the fairest of all places in the world, filled with many spirits. Este, the gentle, healer of hurts and of weakness, is his spouse. Gray is her raiment, and rest is her gift. She walks not by day, but sleeps upon an island in the tree-shadowed lake of Lorelin. From the fountains of Urmo and Este, all those who dwell in Valinor draw refreshment, and often the Valar come themselves to Lorien, and there find repose and easing of the burden of Arda. Mightier than Este is Nienna, sister of the Fean Turi. She dwells alone. She is acquainted with grief, and mourns for every wound that Arda has suffered in the mine of Melkor. And she does not weep for herself, and those who hearken to her learn pity, and endurance, and hope. She goes to the halls of Mandos, which are near to her own, and all those who wait in Mandos cry to her, for she brings strength to the spirit, and turns sorrow to wisdom. The windows of her house look outward upon the walls of the world. Greatest in strength and deeds of prowess is Tulkas. He delights in wrestling and in contests of strength, and he rides no steed, for he can outrun all things that go on feet, and he is tireless. His weapons are his hands. He has little heed for either the past or the future, and is of no avail as a counselor, but is a hearty friend. His spouse is Nessa, the sister of Orome, and she also is lithe and fleet-footed. Deer she loves, and they follow her train whenever she goes in the wild, but she can outrun them, swift as an arrow with the wind in her hair. In dancing she delights, and she dances in Valimar, on lawns of never-fading green. Orome is a mighty lord. If he is less strong than Tulkas, he is more dreadful in anger. He is a hunter of monsters and fell beasts, and he delights in horses and in hounds, and all trees he loves. Naha is the name of his horse, white in the sun and shining silver at night. In Valinor, Orome would train his folk and his beasts for the pursuit of the evil creatures of Melkor. The spouse of Orome is Vana, the ever-young. She is the younger sister of Yavanna. All flowers spring as she passes and open if she glances upon them, and all birds sing at her coming. With the Valar came other spirits, and these are the Maiar, the people of the Valar, their servants and helpers. Their number is not known to the elves, and few have names. Chief among the Maiar of Valinor are Ilmare, the handmaiden of Varda, and Eonwe, the banner-bearer and herald of Manwë, whose might in arms is surpassed by none in Arda. But of all the Maiar, Osse and Uain are best known to the children of Iluvatar. Osse is a vassal of Uma, and he is master of the seas that wash the shores of Middle-earth. In storm he delights, and laughs amid the roaring of the waves. His spouse is Uinen, the lady of the seas, whose hair lies spread through all waters under sky. Melkor hated the sea, for he could not subdue it, and in the making of Arda he endeavored to draw Osse to his allegiance. So it was that long ago there arose great tumults in the sea that wrought ruin to the lands. But Uinen, at the prayer of Ale, restrained Osse, and brought him before Ulmo. And he was pardoned and returned to his allegiance, to which he has remained faithful, for the most part. For the delight in violence has never wholly departed from him. Therefore those who dwell by the sea or go up in ships may love him, but they do not trust him. Wisest of the Maya was Aloran. He dwelt in Lorien, but his ways often took him to the house in Nienna, and of her he learned pity and patience. But of Aloran this tale does not speak, though in later days he was the friend of all the children of Iluvatar and took pity on their sorrows. And those that listened to him awoke from despair and put away the imaginations of darkness. Melian was the name of a Maya who served both Vana and Este. She too dwelt long in Lorien, tending the trees that flower in the gardens of Irmo, ere she came to Middle-earth. Of Melian much is told in the Quenta Silmarillion. Last of all is set the name of Melkor, he who arises in might, but that name he has forfeited. Great might was given to him by Iluvatar, and he was coeval with Manwë. In the powers and knowledge of all the other Valar he had part, but he turned them to evil purposes, and squandered his strength in violence and tyranny. For he coveted Arda and all that was in it, desiring the kingship of Manwë, and the dominion over the realms of his peers. From splendor he fell through arrogance to contempt for all things save himself, a spirit wasteful and pitiless. Understanding, he turned to subtlety, in perverting to his own will all that he would use, until he became a liar without shame. He began with the desire of light, but when he could not possess it for himself alone, he descended in through fire and wrath into a great burning, down into darkness. And darkness he used most in his evil works upon Arda, and filled it with fear for all living things. Yet so great was the power of his uprising that in ages forgotten he contended with Manwë and all the Valar, and through long years in Arda held dominion over most of the lands of the earth. But he was not alone. For of the Maya many were drawn to his splendor in the days of his greatness, and remained in that allegiance down into his darkness, and others he corrupted afterwards to his service with lies and treacherous gifts. Dreadful among these spirits were the Valar Rokar, the scourges of fire, that in Middle-earth were called the Balrogs, demons of terror. Of the Maya that have names, the greatest was that spirit called Sauron, or Gorthar the Cruel. In the beginning he was of the Maya of Aule, and he remained mighty in the lore of that people. In all the deeds of Melkor, in his vast works, and in the deceits of his cunning, Sauron had a part, and was only less evil than his master, for long he served another, and not himself. But in after years he rose like a shadow of Melkor, and a ghost of his malice.